Many people keep home aquariums and admire their beauty and the peace they bring. People keep their home aquariums stocked with many different species of fish, plants, and invertebrates, and enjoy caring for them and watching their interactions. Over the years, the different types of organisms that can be kept in home aquariums have drastically increased, and with changing technologies and discoveries, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of organisms in the market that people can purchase to put in their aquarium. With this change and expansion of the hobby, there is no doubt that companies around the world are always thinking of new ways to get into the business. Many companies sell chemicals for water, fish, tanks, filters, heaters, and countless other products and make millions of dollars each year. One company decided to go a different route. Glofish is an umbrella term for the fluorescent fish created by Yorktown Technologies LP. Currently, there are a handful of different species sold, and new strains of fish are still being created to this day. Yes, they are not breeding these fish, they are creating them in a lab. Some of the species of fish in the market today include zebra dino, tiger barb, black toraya, black rainbow shark, and within the last few months, the company has successfully created and marketed a strain of glowing beta. These fish exhibit bright pastel colors that many people enjoy. Some of the glowing colors include red, purple, green, blue, pink, and orange. Many children and adults are fascinated by these colors, and a large amount of these fish are sold every year. For these reasons, the company recently sold to Spectrum Brands for approximately $50 million. One of the most interesting things about these engineered fish is that they're all trademarked. That's right, these specific strains of fish are trademarked, and breeding and selling of these fish is illegal. For this reason, the company has sole production and distribution rights to these fish and has created a pseudo monopoly on the bioluminescent aquarium fish. These fish are increasingly becoming a bigger subsection of the aquarium hobby, with the brand creating its own aquariums and equipment in order to show off and house these fish so that their colors can be as visible as possible. The company only seems to grow more and more as they create new strains of glowing fish. That being said, these fish are a topic of much discussion in the aquarium hobby because of their questionable moral production and also the moral basis of the company producing these living organisms. Many seasoned aquariumists deem these fish to be abominations as they are extremely unnatural and seem to come with many diseases and abnormalities. The fact that these organisms are engineered and some of the species are proven to be common invasive species around the world, many scientists are worried that if these species are accidentally released into the wild, the results could be extremely negative as the new genetic material is unnatural and unprecedented. In this video, we will discuss not only the science and history of glowfish, but the ethics and implications that stem from glowfish.
What are glowfish anyway? As explained before, these are various species of fish that appear to glow bright pastel colors under certain lighting. This is made possible through the expression of a fluorescent gene in the genome of the fish that changes their base color to the color of that specific gene. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, defines this glow as biologically functional fluorescence, which is usually bright, concentrated in certain body parts, and shows one or a few well-defined peaks in its spectrum, suggesting involvement of specialized pigments. The gene responsible for this glow is not something that naturally occurs in these fish. In fact, the fluorescent genes used in these fish are not natural in fish at all. These genes are taken from certain jellyfish and corals that live in the oceans. This process of inserting foreign genes into different organisms is nothing new. Genetic engineering has been used for many years now, and as technology improves, the process becomes easier and easier. One of the popular experiments used to show how organisms can exhibit the fluorescent gene involves adding green fluorescent protein, or GFP, to E. coli or to yeast, also known as Saccharomyces cerevisiae. This process involves a concoction of chemicals used to allow the new gene to enter the cell, and paired with an antibiotic resistance gene, only the changed cells survive. In the case of yeast, CRISPR-Cas9 is used to insert the fluorescent gene into the genome. This process of using CRISPR-Cas9 to insert the gene into yeast is also the process used in glowfish to insert their various fluorescent genes into the various species of fish. The way they do this to these organisms, which are multicellular, is that they genetically engineer the embryos themselves so that the organisms engineered will exhibit these genes when they grow up. Zebrafish or zebra danios are one of the first species of fish engineered to express this fluorescent gene. These fish have long been used in science for experimentation, and they are a model organism still commonly used today. Originally, in 2002, these fish were used as a carrier for GFP at the National University of Singapore in order to create a fish that would indicate if pollutants were in the waters. When businessmen who were a part of Yorktown Technologies heard of this, they quickly bought the rights to these fish and engineered them to always exhibit the glowing color. In 2003, the first glowing fish on the US market was the Starfire Red Glowfish, which was a zebra danio that expressed a red fluorescent gene found in corals. After the success of the first release, in 2006, various other colors of zebra danio glowfish were produced and sold. This led to the subsequent engineering of various other species of glowfish from the year 2010 onwards, like the tiger barbs, black tetras, rainbow sharks, and now in 2020, the betta fish. The success in sales of these engineered fish only propels the company forward, allowing them to invest in engineering more and more fish each year. It is estimated that glowfish comprises roughly 10% of all sales in the aquarium hobby, including equipment and fish sold. The company has no intentions of stopping the production of engineered fish anytime soon, and with the advent of the glow betta fish, they have reached a new level. The reason this was such a breakthrough was because the betta fish was not a fish that scattered its eggs as do all the other species of fish engineered for glowfish. The male betta fish actually care for their young and they tend to them in a nest made of bubbles. This complex breeding behavior made it difficult for any genetic experiments to be successfully completed on the species. Because of this breakthrough, they have overcome another obstacle and have found their way into more complex species of fish.
Genetically engineered organisms have always been a topic of contention. The morality of changing the genetic material of organisms and making it whatever we want is very fickle, and many people disagree on whether we should be doing it or not in the first place. Many consider genetic engineering to be playing God and that we have no reason to be changing the organisms around us. Others argue that to be able to progress as humanity, we must harness the powers of genetic engineering and make everything better for ourselves. And you have some that argue that genetic engineering is good as long as there are restrictions in place. The main issue with genetic engineering started with genetically modified foodstuffs, now labeled as GMOs. People feel that changed food items are grown unnaturally and that they might have adverse effects on people's health and the well-being of the environment. With that being said, it is no surprise that glowfish have been a topic of contention since they have been released for retail in the United States. The government immediately got involved with the company selling them, and the FDA investigated the fish and released a statement saying, because tropical aquarium fish are not used for food purposes, they pose no threat to the food supply. There is no evidence that these genetically engineered zebra daniofish pose any more threats to the environment than their unmodified counterparts, which have been widely sold in the United States. In the absence of a clear risk to the public health, the FDA finds no reason to regulate this particular fish. Even with this statement by the FDA, many environmental scientists and biologists were skeptical about how this fish could really affect and maybe even damage the environment. Many people were also concerned that since the government treated the glowfish issue with such levity, the president said would allow other transgenic animals to be unregulated, and many consequences could ensue. Despite these worries and concerns, many experiments have been conducted by various scientists proving the FDA's investigation was indeed valid. One of the main studies that has been replicated multiple times shows that the female zebra daniofish prefer normal zebra danios over the glow variant when they reproduce. Another experiment conducted showed that those glowfish who did breed ended up producing youngs that mostly did not glow, with the exception of some youngs. This data shows that even if released into the wild with normal variants, it is not only difficult that the glowfish would reproduce, but also very hard for more glowfish to be produced. Another reason that these glowfish wouldn't pose supposed threats to the environment is the fact that they exhibit such bright colors in the first place. This unnatural coloration attracts predators, and many scientists have concluded that these fish would have little to no chances of survival in the wild. These experiments and data collected have helped reduce the stigma around the glowfish being an evil genetic monstrosity made by a money-hungry corporation. Due to these findings, many areas that ban the glowfish have lifted those restrictions within the last few years, including California having lifted the ban on glowfish in 2015. Some places refuse to lift these bans, including the European Union. Even then, a few years ago, government agents visited various pet stores and aquarium shops around various countries and discovered thousands of illegal specimens being kept and sold.
At this point, the glowfish have been on the market for over 17 years, and the amount of fish they sell and produce keeps getting bigger as the years go on. Their strikingly abnormal coloration will always attract customers wanting to keep something entertaining in their home aquariums. The production of a genetically engineered pet is something that fascinates many people, and glowfish truly have paved the way for genetically engineered animals around the world. With the precedent set by glowfish, genetically modified pets are sure to appear more often in the market as technology improves. It's all up to the consumers to decide if these genetic changes are morally correct, and if they want to give their money to support this ever growing practice.